And now, from beyond our dimension, this is the JeffMara podcast. Here's Jeff.
My guest is Leah Rivers, a gifted professional medium and co-founder of L&M Paranormal, a Christian-based paranormal investigation team that she runs with her husband, Mike. Leah has also had a hellish near-death experience, but was pulled out of the darkness by Jesus, which we're going to talk about and more. Leah, thanks for joining me and welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Well, we're excited to have you, Leah. And if you don't mind, let's start with your NDE and go from there.
Of course. I had an injection and it brought on a series of medical emergencies, but it was over about a month. So I had the injection and then I didn't feel good. I never got better after that. And I was rushed to the hospital, first hospital, and they did some tests, figured out I needed to go to a bigger hospital. I went there and I don't remember anything after leaving my house. So I was taken out of that house by ambulance, went to the next hospital. Next thing I remember was being above my body, and I could see, it was just, let me see if I can describe this. I could see my face, and my face was well lit. Like there was a lot of light around my face. There were nurses, a doctor, and chaos just everywhere. And they were trying to get me back. They were doing the CPR, and then the doctor came in and he had put a blue drape over me and they were still trying to get me back. And he took the 10 blade and I watched him slice me from the breastbone all the way down. So just split wide open. And when he did that, I saw blood gush everywhere, a ton. And there's so much that the whole room paused and everybody kind of gasped a little bit. And then all the chaos kept going. And then at the same time, so I can see this, and at the same time, I can see my husband and my mom, and they're in the waiting room. And my husband was, he had his arm up against the wall in the waiting room and he was crying. And you could see tables and chairs, like he had thrown stuff. And then my mom was in another room, so I can see all of this at the same time. She had her head down and she was whispering prayers. I could hear her praying. And then everything became dark and it was like a tunnel. So like the darkness started to creep in and all of that I was seeing went away. And I could hear these voices, and these voices were of people that I know that are alive. But they were like, come here, come over here. And then they were grabbing me at the same time. And they were just pulling me back. And it just kept getting darker and darker. And then they started to torture me. That's the word I would use. It was a lot of pain and sorrow and sadness and despair that I wish I could even use better words to describe that, because I was just sad, crying, and reaching out to get back to my husband, to get back to my mom. You know, I want out of this. And it just kept getting darker and darker until it was complete darkness, and it was just torture over and over. And they were enjoying it. And I knew that because they were laughing, and each time it would hurt, and I would feel sad and worse, they would laugh. But it was like, what was strange to me is it was people that I knew, they're still alive. And then when I wanted to give up, like I just thought this was it. This is where I'm stuck. I looked down on my right arm specifically, and there was a hand there, and I knew that it was Jesus. I did not see his face, but I felt warmth and like I saw a light behind me, so you could kind of see it illuminating this darkness that I was in. And he kept his hand there, and I was just, gonna give up. And he said, "No, just wait." That's all I heard. And then we were out. We were out of that darkness, away from that torture, and we were back. I was in a hospital room, and I could see my husband again, could see my mom, could see the nurses, and I felt absolute perfect peace. And Jesus is still there. And I felt so good that I remember reaching down, trying to touch Mike, my husband, and like, "Come up. I want you to come up here with me. I feel so good. I don't want to go back. I want you here with me." Um, then there were instances where it was like it all melted into one. I'm trying not to mess this up here. Um, Jesus had left. I was back, and I was sitting beside my body. So my body's in the bed, I'm on life support, and I can see this. But I can't leave myself. Um, I could hear prayers from other people that I didn't know. It was just all this, all these voices, and they were praying for me. I could hear my name and for healing. And um, then, oh, then there was a lady who had died there somewhere near me, and her and I were looking at each other, and neither one of us said anything. And I watched her son come in and collect her belongings. It was a little wooden box with a crucifix and something else in it. I don't know what it was. And I could smell incense, which was really strange. And I can smell that really strong. Like, it's a memory that sticks with me. And her and I just looked at each other and looked at him and her son, and he was really sad. And then I moved on to the next thing, which was this guy who had died there. Um, he he was kind of funny. He was in the hallway, and he didn't tie the back of his gown. So he would like walk down the hallway, and then he'd turn around and he waved at me. We made eye contact, and then he disappeared through the double doors. He was gone. Um, it was just instances like that with uh, people who were non-living. I was interacting with them, and I could also see Mike and my mom and the living people coming in and out and taking care of me. And I stayed like that for a while until I woke up. They took me out of, because I was in a coma for 3 weeks. And when I woke up, the first thing I asked my husband was, "Did I die?" And he confirmed it for me.
Leah, thank you for sharing your experience with us. Did you ask your husband or verify with him that he was crying in the waiting room and it looked like he threw furniture around?
I did. We talked about this a lot, and actually with him was our friend Brandon, and Brandon was there as well. He was not there. I coded twice, and he was not there when I coded the second time. He showed up right after Mike had thrown all the furniture. Mike said he threw tables, he threw chairs, and when Brandon said when he showed up, Mike had his arm like this against the wall and he was crying. And then I asked my mom, and she said I was in the bathroom on the floor and my head was like this, and I was praying for you and crying. And we actually did an interview with the doctor as well that was there that saved my life. He cut me open, he found everything, and he confirmed all the details that I had said as well.
Was he shocked when you told him that you
Yes.
saw him? What was his response to that?
You mean the doctor?
Yeah.
Yeah. He He was speechless at first, and then he said, "You're a miracle. You're a miracle." And the fact that you said 10 blade and not scalpel, like you knew the detail there of what I used, he said, that's astounding to me. It just proves that it's real. He said he's a spiritual person, but he's never encountered anything like that, the details. And then we actually talked to some nurses, and the nurses said that when he cut me open and all the blood did come out, they all did stop. They gasped because they did not expect that to happen.
So how did you know it was a 10 blade? Like, did you hear him or see him say, "Give me the 10 blade"?
I did. I heard him say it. And that's what was crazy, because he said, "I brought just a little bit." Let me give you a little detail here. This did not take place in an operating room. This was literally an emergency in the ICU. So he did surgery in an ICU room. So he had to run with one other nurse and grab just a little bit of what he had and a drape and cut me open as fast as he could to get me breathing again. So that's all he had, was just that and a few other surgical tools.
Did you have an abdominal aneurysm?
Yep, I did.
Wow.
And he said that he's only worked on one other person that survived that.
Yeah.
And you have to be right there when it ruptures, or you won't catch it.
Right.
They catch it in the morgue, with the autopsy. So I had compartmental syndrome. So the blood was, it was just swelling. Everything was swelling, and I was leaking. And when he cut me open, it all came out. They got me back. They were doing the CPR at the same time. Let's see. And then he found the artery as it ruptured. He got rid of the spleen and a bunch of other stuff. He said it was chaos. But he found it, and he was able to repair it in time. It was a miracle.
That's
And he used that word a lot. He's like, "You're a miracle." No anesthesia, none of that. Just went in and did it.
You are my second near-death experiencer that had that. And I mean, had an aortic aneurysm.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I don't think, I kept hearing, you don't recover from those. Those are really rare to come out of and be alive after they rupture.
When you were seeing the living and the non-living in the hospital, did they look the same, or did the non-living look a little transparent like a ghost?
They look the same. They look the same to me.
Then how did you know the difference?
Because when we were talking, our mouths weren't moving. It was like a
Telepathy?
mind. Yes. And that's the same thing with the torture I was going through. They weren't talking with their mouths like you and I are. It was just all telepathy. Yeah. And Jesus was the same way. He said those words, but I didn't hear a voice. Does that make sense? It was like, here.
Now, the people that were torturing you were the living, right?
They were, yes, but they were people like a neighbor, a friend. They were people that aren't medical people. They were just people that I knew. And after thinking about it for a really long time, I think it was that way because it was evil. It was hell. And, Satan, he'll trick you. So he's going to use people's voices and people that you know. I never saw their face. I just heard their voice and knew who they were, if that makes sense.
Now,
So I feel like he used them to lure me to go deeper into that darkness. And then they just started to torture me.
as a result of your near-death experience, did you become a medium?
I think it woke the gift up. I think I've always had it. And the way that I grew up, it was suppressed and put away, and it was wrong and it was bad. And so after the near-death experience, it was kind of like an awakening and a lot of questioning of how I've been a Christian my whole life, but how I've been looking at it, I feel has been wrong. I've been missing a lot, and a lot of what God and Jesus and Christians are about.
So can you recall times of hearing the dead or seeing the dead from childhood?
Yes, as a kid, I had a lot of night terrors, and my parents would dismiss that a lot, but I was actually talking. I remember a little girl in my room, and I would tell my parents, she's talking to me, and they would say, no, it's just the doll. It's this doll over here. And they would wake me up, but I was awake because I remember it. And I said, she's talking to me. She says she needs help. She's crying. She's making me cry. And they said, no, you're just dreaming. It's the doll on your shelf. It's not, it's not real. And then I also did see an old man out on the farm that we lived on, and he wore overalls and a white shirt, and he was really friendly, and he was not alive. He was in the weirdest spots, and he would be out there when I'm doing the chores, and he would disappear. He felt like a guardian angel almost, just there to make sure I'm okay. Because I would go out and take care of the animals by myself, and it could be kind of dangerous. So I kind of felt like he was just there. Never said anything, just smiled and would hang around and then disappear.
Hmm.
But I didn't tell my parents about it.
Do you fear death?
No, I don't. Not anymore. I did before, and I've got children, and I would fear for them. Um, Even being a Christian my whole life and knowing, okay, I accepted Christ as my Savior, where I'm going to go to heaven. It was still all very confusing to me, and I would fear death. I didn't want to die. I don't fear it anymore, and I definitely don't fear darkness. I don't fear the evil or the darkness because I know who overcomes it, and I know who gives me that strength to do that. And I know I can, I just don't fear it anymore. No.
Now, you and your husband, Mike, created a Christian based paranormal investigation team. And I find that interesting because I think many Christians would consider someone being a medium of doing the devil's work, you know?
Yes. So how that started is my husband, I love him. We've been together for over 20 years, married for 17. And we have always liked watching ghost hunters. That was kind of our date night, but that's as far as it went, you know. After my near-death experience, we decided that we were going to live life and burn the candle at both ends and not wait and put anything off for tomorrow. So going on a ghost hunt, a real one, was something we wanted to do. And our very first one was at Missouri State Penitentiary. There was like 200 people there, and they would take you on a tour at night and show you how to do it. My husband and I went, and as soon as I stepped foot at that place, I was seeing and hearing people that were not, nobody else could. And it sparked something in me like, okay, this is a gift. This is real. It's happening. What do I do with it? We went on the ghost hunt, and him and I talked about it afterwards. And he goes, that was really neat because we would put the equipment down, the little K2 meters and the little ghost, the cat balls we would put down, and the spirits can touch them and light them up. And I would say, put it over here, there, over there. He would, my husband would. And then I would ask questions and have a conversation with this spirit, and they would turn the light on and off to confirm where they were at. So it was really kind of cool. We joined a local team and tagged along with them for a while to kind of learn what they do and what equipment they have. And we decided we really liked it, but we did not like the direction everything goes in the paranormal. It wasn't us. We're not, Wiccan or anything. We're Christian. And I thought, why isn't there a Christian paranormal team? Because, that's sacrilegious. You don't do that. And I disagree with it. Um, So we decided to start L&M Paranormal, and it was really important to us. With our logo, I said, we need to put a verse with it. And then, so we agreed on Ephesians 6:11 to put on the armor of God and stand firm against the devil and his tactics. And for that was when we go in and we investigate places, there are evil spirits. It's not demonic or not demonic. It's not that way. It's not black and white like that. So we opened up our team to investigate residential cases. People who say, I think I got something evil in my house. Well, okay, let's go in and check it out. So we do a series of interviews, make sure they're of sound mind and there really is something going on. And I will go in and use my mediumship skills, their gift, and kind of help figure out if it is paranormal or not and who and what it is and ease their mind. And 95% of the time is family that's trying to reach out to them, and they're scared because what you see on TV is scary if it's paranormal. And that's kind of what we want to fix, that the paranormal isn't scary. And frankly, I don't really care if the church doesn't like it or not, because I've died, I've came back, I've conquered that, and it's all supernatural. There's the Holy Spirit. How is that not supernatural or paranormal? I don't understand why they think that.
After your NDE, did you get any new abilities?
I think the mediumship that opened up is opening up more. So I don't think it's ever going to stop. So now I can see things that are going to happen, if that makes sense, like future things. I'm good at finding missing people, uncovering secrets at these very popular haunted locations. But and I feel like it's not going to stop. I feel like there will be new abilities the more I grow and the more I do it.
Have you ever encountered any being at a house that wasn't a family member? And if you did, what did you do? Did you tell it to move on or what?
So yes, I have actually. In this particular case, this lady moved into this really old farmhouse, about 100 years old. And she said, I know that there's a man in my bedroom and he will not leave me alone. I haven't slept in 6 years and I need some help. So my husband and I went in there. I figured out who it was, and it was this old farmer, and he built the place. And he didn't want to leave. So he was really stubborn and really grumpy. And the more we talked to him, the more we figured out that he's in a different place than his family. He's looking for his wife and his kids and his grandkids, and he's back at the place where he loved the most and where things started. But he was not very nice. He called me a witch and that this was witchcraft. And he was not nice to the homeowner either, because she's sensitive like me. So he knew she was that way. So that's why she felt uncomfortable. And after several tries, we went to her house several times. We were able to help him cope with where he's at, because he didn't want to leave. He said he didn't want to. It's like, I'm not going to leave. But he was sad because he can't find him. But she's learned to live with him. So when he tries to come in her room or bother her, we've taught her to turn around and just talk to him like you would a normal person and say, hey, this is my boundary. You can stay in that room over there, but you're too close to me right now. You need to leave me alone. And that's kind of where he's at right now. I also have encountered spirits we've helped move on as well.
Well, do you think that this guy realizes that he's dead?
Yes, because they say it. They say, well, I'm dead. I can't find my wife. He's just really, honestly, in life, like when he was alive, he was very set in his ways, and women belonged in the kitchen, and he went out and took care of the farm, and he's just set in his ways. So it may take even more time to help him let go and move on to his next step, because I don't think he's done with his journey on the other side. I believe that you move on to what's next, and I don't think he's ready for that yet, and they have to be ready for that.
It's interesting that you talk about that because as a Christian, I would think that you would believe that you just go to heaven for eternity and that's it, not like move on to another life or something else.
And I did believe that. Yes, I did believe that. I still do. I still do believe that. That's why it's so important when you're here on earth to make sure you're right. You're right with God. You're living the right life. You're um, confessing your sins. You're praying, and you're just living the best life. My grandmother was at peace with everything in her life before she died. She has always been a devout Christian, um, knew she was going to go to heaven, but before she died, she made sure things were as they should be, and she was at peace. And I believe she went straight to the place that we all want to be. And people who die traumatically still have unfinished business. I guess you probably hear that a lot, but I'm really truly encountering that a lot. And they weren't right with their soul. Their soul wasn't right. And so they still have a journey on the other side. And I think that's why us as the living still pray for our loved ones who have passed on, especially if it was traumatically. You pray for their soul and that their soul finds peace because they're still on a journey to find that peace.
Do you feel that people are truly evil or they're just kind of existing at a lower frequency?
I like that. I think that there are people that are truly evil. I think that how do I put it? They're truly evil. And then there are people that operate on the lower frequency, and and I think those people that operate on the lower frequency have a chance, if that makes sense. They have a chance to make peace and to um, uh, find that peace for their soul.
As a medium, have you ever encountered a being that's truly evil? And if so, how did that play out?
That's actually playing out right now this month. I'm going to start putting a story out about it. Yes, I have. There is a location that I have never been to, but it came to me, and the person that is there came to me, and it was in my bedroom. Um, they are a truly evil person that did really evil things, and they enjoy torturing the living with all this psychological now. So, like, he plays everything over and over in my head that he did to these people, these victims. And um, there is no getting him out. He loves it. His soul is truly damned. Like, he is happy where he's at. And um, I don't believe that he reached out to me. I believe the victims did, and he was there because he blocks them and keeps them from coming forward to find peace. And so the end of this month, I'll be visiting that location to maybe help find some peace for those souls.
How do you protect yourself against those beings?
Um, a lot of prayer, holy water. um, it's a lot of prayer, and I go to battle. in prayer. And I also have started, I used to use sage. It really does kind of clear things out, but I use a different incense now. But I pray and put my mind in the higher vibration, a higher place, and I know that Jesus will protect me. I know that God's there, and I know that these things are happening because He put them there. If that makes sense, like there are souls that need help, and that's why I'm here.
What would you say to other Christians who think that what you are doing is not Christian?
Well, I've had people come at me about it, and they always use Leviticus. They always use the Old Testament, and the Old Testament, when they were going through the desert, not using sorcerers or mediums was wrong, because those mediums and seers did not have good intentions, and they were drawing their power or gift from an evil source, the wrong source. So what I would tell them is, I know that God gave me this gift, and only I know that. My soul is at peace with that, and I draw I guess, my strength and my protection from the higher source, which is God. For me, it's Jesus. And my intentions are only for good. And when I do readings for people, I don't lie. I'm not going to make things up. And I don't, I don't know, like it's natural.
How are you inspired by your experience?
That's a good question. And in many ways, it inspired me to not be afraid of the darkness, not be afraid to die. It inspired me to look beyond the church and beyond what you learn in Sunday school, because Jesus walked the earth. He was a person too. He's your best friend. And you can talk to him every day, all the time. I don't, let's see, it inspired me to be a better person. It inspired me to help people here, living people, and then souls on the other side. And then I hope, like through the book that I wrote, that I can inspire people to live out their dreams and their purpose. I feel like I finally found my purpose, and this whole road to get there, God knew I had to take this road to get where I'm at before I even did it. And so it has just inspired me to be myself.
Well, you mentioned your book, and the title is No Just Wait. Is your book just about your NDE or more?
This one, it's a little bit of everything. So it starts with the NDE, and then it goes into how I went on the journey to figure out, why did I have this NDE? Why did this happen to me? And what do I do with it now? And then it goes into how we started L&M Paranormal, and then how I do readings for people and help them
That's interesting. Why did you have this NDE?
to be where I'm at now. I want to light a fire under Christians, honestly, because the number one cause of atheists is Christians. Christians and it's so a box. Like, I know, I believe the Bible, I get it, but there's more to the Bible. There is so much that's been taken out, books that have been taken out, words have been, it's still just a book that's been re-edited over and over. There's so much more to God than the 10 Commandments. There's so much more to him and his existence than that. And he gives us gifts, and some of them are supernatural gifts. And it does not mean it came from evil. It didn't. I want to light that fire. I want that conversation with Christians and churches, and I want them to know that it's wrong to shun people like me, because we don't go to church now. But that's okay. You don't have to be in a church to love God and be a Christian.
I think if you talk to some people who study the Bible at an academic level, they will tell you that the Bible is the most supernatural book that's out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. And I want to meet more people like that know, they've studied the Bible on that level, because I think that's another part of my journey, is just to learn more.
What's the main takeaway someone should get from reading your book?
The main takeaway is for you to be inspired to do what God put you on this earth to do, and that you don't have to have a near-death experience for your whole life to change. I want you to learn to love on a deeper level, and to know that there is something after we die. When we die, it's not just nothing or a dark void, that there is a journey on the other side, and there will be people there waiting for you, or there'll be people like me to help you move along onto your next part of your journey.
If people want to find out more about your book, should they go to a website or to Amazon?
My book is exclusively on Amazon, and then you can find me on Facebook, and I can send you a link too.
Well, if people want to reach out to you and ask you questions, are you open to that?
100%, yes. And if you read the book, let me know what you think of it. You're welcome to send me a message and we can talk about it.
Do you have anything else going on that you want people to know about?
No, I'm actually wrapping up the whole year and gonna spend time with family, but August through October is usually a busy time for L&M Paranormal and my readings. I just got done doing my first big gallery reading, public one, and then so now we're just going to kind of wind down and cuddle up for the holidays and start again in January. And we have a YouTube channel, my husband and I do, and where we record our investigations and the evidence.
Cool. What's it called?
It's just L&M Paranormal.
All right. Well, before we finish up, can you leave us with one last positive message?
Go out and live life to the fullest. Even if you make mistakes, it's okay. Learn from them, move on. Tomorrow's a new day, and love and live like you're dying, but you don't have to be. Live out your purpose.
Leah, thank you for your message, and thank you for being my guest.
Thank you. I very much appreciate it.
Thanks for watching the JeffMara podcast. I really appreciate you. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. And if you do, there are loyalty badges and other perks depending on your level of membership. All you need to do is click the join button underneath the video to find out more. Thank you for your support.